Hello everyone, it's me again. I'm doing the part 2. I know I'm still in Tenerife, so the screen is going to be a bit more bad. So I think I think that should do it. So again, please shout out. I'm giving a shout out to Epic Bannistard. He's a really good guy. He's a good creator of Rouse to Refuge. He's created 3 series so far, so go and check him out. Anyway, let's continue with part 2.
Down at Manifel, the engines were getting prepared for the day of work when all of a sudden, the station master came running frantically towards them, followed shortly by the sounds of alarms ringing. What's going on?
There's been a massive accident at the bridge near Endon. We need both cranes there immediately. I need one of you to go there on the double.
I'm the only one with steam, sir.
Then go! We don't have time to waste.
Don't bother.
Excuse me?
Have you gone mad?
Darius!
What are you talking about? Leave him at the bottom of the lake. He bloody deserves it, especially after what he did to Riley.
Darius, what have you done?
I made sure that cunt of a Hall never sees the light of day again. No one gets away with harming my friend like that.
Oh, God.
Darius.
I don't understand what's going on here, and I don't have time to. But you've got it all wrong, Darius.
What are you talking about?
Hart Hall is not the engine involved in the accident at Endon.
Thor slowly came to a stop on the bridge as he surveyed the scene in front of him, his eyes filling with tears at what he saw. Passenger coaches were spread about and covered in blood. First responders were doing all they could to save people from a gruesome fate. And then, at the end of the coaches, lying there silent, was Gregory. He had crashed, smokebox first, into a rock, causing it to buckle inwards on itself, sealing his gruesome fate. Thor could not bear looking at the sight any longer. He turned his gaze to Axel, who had been the engine responding from Redwick, and hoped for a reassuring look in return. But there was none. Nothing but an empty look of sorrow in return. He began to sob quietly, and closed his eyes, hoping, praying, that this was all just a bad dream. Mr. Stard sat in shock at the goods yard at Redwick, pale, unmoving, distraught. He couldn't believe what he had heard when he had arrived at work that morning. The workers were scrambling, trains were cancelled, and families were crowding the staff, begging for any information about their loved ones. But there was little to be said. Gregory had been traveling at line speed when the accident had occurred, so there was very little hope for most of the families. Mr. Stard stared at his feet. He was struggling to comprehend just what could have gone so wrong.
Bradford.
Mr. Stard snapped back to reality and looked up. There, Mr. Dexby was standing, a compassionate look on his face, something Mr. Stard had never seen before. Henry, look. Now's not a good time.
I know, Bradford. I know.
Right. The two men stood there in silence for a moment. I don't know what to do, Henry. This is all getting too much. First Reginald, then Riley, and now this. Where do I even go from here?
Where you go from here is up to you. But for now, you must remain strong and spring to action. You will have to face it, Bradford, not hide away. You will get through this. I know you will. Take action and face the consequences.
Yeah, you're right. I need to be strong, if not for my sake, for the sake of the families of those involved in the incident.
That's the right attitude, Bradford. I will be staying here for a while to make sure things don't go too awry. So if you need assistance, please let me know.
Really? With no favors in return?
None whatsoever.
Who are you, and what have you done to Henry Dexby? Mr. Dexby gave a slight smile and gestured towards the station. Mr. Starr took a moment to collect his thoughts before the two made their way towards the station. But when they got there, Mr. Starr looked surprised to see Mr. Dickinson and Mr. Knox standing at the platform, with station staff holding back people from pushing past them. The two men were looking at 3 engines: Russell, Levi, and between them, Darius. Henry, what's going on? Okay. As he walked closer to the scene in front of him, Mr. Knox, Mr. Dickinson, Russell, and Levi were all giving him cold stares, while Darius looked away in shame. Mr. Starr felt himself grow nervous as he spoke. What's going on here? Shouldn't we be focusing on the families of those affected?
Bradford Aaron Stard, this time you and your ragtag group of loyalists have gone too far.
What?
We have all known about your little scheme to make your higher-ups look bad for ages now. But we thought nothing of it, as it barely affected us. But this is too far, even for you.
I don't understand.
No? Well, let me spell it out for you. The accident today was nothing but an act of vile sabotage, one conducted by that mogul and his crew. He's already admitted to it, so don't bother trying to deny it.
Mr. Starr's face drained of all color. Darius? What have you done?
Don't you dare put the blame on him. This would never have happened if you didn't put him up to it. He may have pulled the trigger, but you put the gun in his hands. Their blood, their lives, Gregory, that's on your hands.
That will do, 4211.
Russell continued to glare with rageful eyes at Mr. Starr, tears streaking down his smoke box.
Mr. Stard, you are hereby suspended from your position, pending investigation into the matter. You will not be allowed near any railway property until such a time that you are proven not guilty. But we both know that won't happen.
Mr. Starr stared blankly at Mr. Dickinson, too shocked to say a single word.
I thought as much. You two, take him away. As for you, Mr. Starr, you will not be allowed to leave till the police have been here to question you. I urge you to be honest with them. It might secure you a fair trial.
Mr. Starr, No, Darius. Not another word. Darius began to sob as the 2 engines took him away from the station, while Mr. Starr sat down, his legs too weak to carry him anymore. This was it. There was no coming back from this. It was over.
This wasn't supposed to happen. This isn't right.
I'm sorry, Anthony. I know you two were close.
He was my brother in everything but design. I just can't believe he... Thornton, what are you... Ouch! What are you playing at, Thornton? That hurt!
Cut the crap, Anthony. Did you know? Did you?
Have you gone mad?
You know damn well I haven't. Did you know this was going to happen?
Thornton Manor, calm down. What are you talking about?
Gregory's accident. Did you know?
No, of course I didn't.
How could he have known? It was an accident, for goodness sake. The hell it was! Darius admitted to doing it as soon as the call came in.
No. This... It wasn't supposed to be him.
So you admit it? You knew?
No, they were trying to get Hart, not Gregory. How did... Stard, he...
Me?
How do you know all of this, Anthony? Don't tell me. Don't play coy, Richard. I know he's been helping you guys by spying on Mr. Stodd's operations from the inside. So why, Anthony? Why didn't you warn them? Hart and King Richard looked shocked at the manner. You were the insider?
Well, that certainly explains a lot.
I did warn them. Those freaks were seeing red after what you did to the Panier and his crew. They were going to hurt you no matter what. By Star's orders, no less. Do I blame them? No. But I wasn't just going to stand by and let it happen. I informed the contact of what I knew. But still, this happened. How? It was supposed to be you.
Well, it's a good thing I wasn't, or this whole operation of ours would have fallen apart. I was late departing in the morning due to a delayed delivery, and the morning passenger service was scheduled ahead of me at the last minute.
Forsen, get out of my way.
Oh, no, you don't. I'm not.
I wasn't asking. I'm getting to the bottom of this. Move now!
Thor stared at his brother as he moves over to the next road, allowing Anthony to storm up towards Redwick. He was going to get answers, no matter what. Up at Redwick, Mr. Knox was still dealing with the public outburst when someone spoke up from behind him.
Sir, a word, if you please.
Oh, pardon me. 7801, is it? Now's not a good time. Please come back later.
Now, if you please. I'm not taking no for an answer.
Alright, fine. Meet me over at the goods building. And be quick about it. That was some stunt you pulled. Have you gone mad?
Shut up. What the actual hell happened?
You will not take that tone with me, 7801. But I'll humor you. What are you talking about?
You know damn well what I'm talking about. I warned you those psychopaths were planning something like this, so what the hell happened? You could have inspected the track, restricted line speed, anything!
As always, you fail to understand our mission. Our goal was to get rid of Mr. Stodd, no matter what. And a crash with a goods train simply wouldn't garner enough of an outrage to make the public hate him. 7907 already displayed that much when he caused that Panier to crash.
No, you didn't. Please tell me you...
Of course I did. Your warning presented a golden opportunity to get rid of Mr. Stodd. All it took was a slight delay of 7907's morning goods, and the rest would play itself out.
You sadistic bastard. All those people. The crew. Gregory. My friend. Why would you let something like this happen? All those lies just to get rid of one man. How could you possibly justify that?
How? Look at what's going on, 7801. It worked. The public hate him. He's going to trial for assisted murder. We won. This is what you wanted from the start, isn't it?
No. No, this is not what I wanted. You are sick. Downright evil. You're not going to get away with this. You'll be the one going to trial. I'll make sure of it.
Oh, really? And please enlighten me. What would that accomplish? Even if, and only if, they believe you, I go to prison. Mr. Stodd comes back. And all of this was for naught. Face it, you're out of options. Don't let your friends' sacrifice be in vain.
Don't you dare. This was no noble sacrifice. You murdered him.
Yes, if you wish to see it that way. Anyways, I have better things to waste my time on. Farewell, 7801.
You'll pay for this. Mark my words.
Well, I must admit, that is not what I expected to hear today.
Oh, sir. What are you doing here?
I followed you here when I saw you walk away from the crowd of people, and I must say, I'm very glad I did.
Please, if you'd let me explain.
There is nothing to explain, Mr. Knox. I know they said some sacrifices had to be made, but this is not what I meant.
But it worked! We got him!
This is true, but it was executed in the worst way possible. You are extremely lucky that I still have a use for you. If anything like this happens again, you are done. Do I make myself clear?
Mr. Knox didn't have time to respond, as Mr. Dickinson walked past him towards the station. He was on thin ice, and he knew it. He took a deep breath and collected himself before walking back towards the station, although not without a hint of apprehension. Days went by like years. The railway eventually opened again after the investigation was conducted, but nothing returned to normal. Passenger numbers were down, and freight contracts were lost due to the public outlook on the railway. The media had branded the line as unsafe and poorly managed, causing many people to look for road transportation as an alternative. Morale was at an all-time low. None of the engines had seen or heard anything from Mr. Stark due to his suspension, causing a great deal of worry. And then, there was Darius. Darius had been shunted into a siding, out of the way, and hidden from the world. No one had spoken to him since he was shunted there. All he could do was catch short glimpses of the engines as they passed, but no one looked back at him, not even so much as a glance. Then, one morning, 3 men arrived at the sheds as the engines were getting prepared for their day of work. The engines recognized them all: Mr. Dickinson, Mr. Knox, and surprisingly, the railway inspector who had visited them when Mr. Johnson had lost his job.
Good morning, engines. I hope you were all well this morning.
Just fine, thank you, sir.
To what do we owe the pleasure?
Straight to business then. I thought it was due time that we shared some information about some upcoming changes that will be happening going forward. But first, I'll let the inspector speak.
Thank you, sir. Hello, engines. It's good to see you all again. I just wish it was under better circumstances.
Likewise to you, sir. I take it you've been in charge of the investigation.
I am indeed. And I'm afraid it's not good news. Investigations reveal that the accident was indeed an act of sabotage, one conducted by Locomotive 5357 and its locomotive crew, who have all admitted to their part in the act.
And Mr. Stard, right? He's the one who caused all of this to begin with.
That is where it gets complicated. These gentlemen here have given compelling evidence to Mr. Stard conducting acts of sabotage against their company, and they believe strongly that he is involved somehow. However, the crew and locomotive deny any involvement from Mr. Stard, which would be our only piece of proper evidence to his involvement. Without it, we're grasping at straws.
Some of the engines looked relieved, while others...
You can't be serious.
Sir, you said yourself you had been giving compelling evidence against Mr. Stard.
I did, yes. And he will be punished severely based on the evidence. But we can't punish somebody without proof, which is why you aren't currently under investigation, 7907.
Me? What on earth did I do?
Nothing that we can prove, like I said. But everyone involved in this claimed that it was an act of retaliation against you. They say that you caused the accident involving Pannier Tank 5767 and the death of its crew. Even when inquiring with the engine involved, he claims that it was you. But because engine testimonies don't count as valid evidence in a court case, we can't prove it for sure. Personally, I would consider myself very lucky if I were you.
As if I'd ever stoop that low. And like you said, there is no proof saying otherwise.
Right. Well, as I have said, Mr. Stard is currently being investigated thoroughly, and should any evidence be found that proves his involvement, well, I guess you can all guess what's going to happen. As for the crew of 5357, the evidence is all right there, and their admittance leaves no room for speculation. They will be brought before a court in the next coming days, and I don't see much hope in getting out of the death penalty.
No one responded to these words. They all knew how serious that sentence was.
That is all the information that I can divulge at this time. I will let you all get on with your day. Farewell.
The inspector walked away, and the two men took his place. Well, as you're all aware, this incident has left us with a damaged reputation that will be hard to shake off. We will have to improve quite drastically for the public to trust us again, and for that, some drastic changes will have to be made.
Firstly, and most importantly, there is the matter of Locomotive 5357.
Due to the severity of the incident produced by it and its crew, we believe wholeheartedly that no one would feel safe riding behind this locomotive. As such, the unanimous decision of the board has been to send 5357 for scrap, effective immediately, with no chance of purchase from any outside sources. Nobody could believe what they had just heard. Darius, a good friend, hard worker, and mentor to some, had effectively been sentenced to death. Some began to cry. Others stared harshly at the two men. Even the engines loyal to British Railways stared in disbelief at what they had heard.
You can't just...
We can, and we have. The decision has already been made, and you will not talk back to me unless you're spoken to. Are we clear, 1025?
Moving along. Secondly, any stock and locomotive power that is owned by Bradford Aaron Stard will no longer be permitted to traverse on British Railway property outside of an emergency situation. All ties to him and his private operations will be cut, so as not to risk any ill intent on our railway.
Well, what about me? I can't go on the Eastwood branch. The trackbed isn't strong enough to hold me. Locomotive 8023 is still bound to British Railways by contract for another year and 4 months. You will continue to be operated, but your owner will not be compensated. The earnings will instead go towards the families of those who were killed or injured in the crash.
As for management, with Mr. Hoff away from the railway, Mr. Knox here will take charge of the railway under my supervision until such a time where either Mr. Hoff returns or Mr. Stard is found innocent. But let's be honest, we all know that's not likely to happen.
Thank you, sir. There will be many other changes to come in the near future. For now, we have some more important meetings to attend to. I bid you all a good day. The two men walked away, leaving the engines to reflect upon what they had just been told.
I don't believe it. Darius, it's not right.
I must admit, I did not foresee this outcome. But if that's what they deem to be the best course of action, then I believe them.
The death penalty is never the right option, be it an engine or man. But even with that in mind, I don't feel any remorse for him. After seeing what I saw that day, I could never take pity on someone that could do something so vile.
Unexpected, but deserved.
What about everyone trapped on the Eastwood branch? Rab, Seb, Virgil, and Clint. What about them? If I had to guess, if, and only if, Mr. Stard is charged as guilty, his assets will be liquidated to help pay off any fines he would receive, meaning they would either be sold off to another party, or
sent for scrap, as they should have been years ago.
No! That can't happen!
Not to worry. Should it come to that, I would step in.
What? Who's there? A man in a red suit suddenly stepped out from around the corner of the sheds.
It's good to see those goons have gone. I never did like those bored twats.
And just who might you be?
Hang on a minute. I recognize you.
Me too. I've seen you at the industrial estate.
Mr. Dexby, right?
Sorry guys, I'm going to cut it short there. My tablet's running low on charge and I can't actually afford it to run out. So I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to end the video here. But I will tell you what happens next. Basically, Mr. Dexby says I will look after the engines on the eastwards branch and keep an eye on them. And after some credit scenes, it's then confirmed that Darius is scrapped after Dexby breaks into a scrapyard and says his goodbyes and reassures him that Mr. Starr does forgive him. So, it is confirmed that Darius is dead. Thank you guys for watching, and please like and subscribe. Peace.